All right, we're going to get it started. Chapter 5, the Used Car Manager's Ultimate Playbook. Let's jump right in, guys, girls. All right, so the myth of competitive pricing. Most stores panic price, chasing competitors. Gross disappears when pricing is emotional, and customers don't buy cheap, they buy clarity. And we're going to break that down in this chapter. So let's start with the truth. Most stores price emotionally, not strategically. They see a competitor drop their price on AutoTrader or Cars.com, panic, they drop theirs too, thinking we need to stay competitive. But here's what actually happens. The gross evaporates, perceived value drops, managers start selling costs instead of a story, and you don't win the market by being the cheapest, you win by being the clearest. And you'll see that you're either, when you buy the cars, you're not booking them out properly, you're not expanding the options on the vehicle when you're doing your pricing, because when you expand them, you go out more radius, you pick out more options. You might have the cleanest one, like from Mercedes dealers, for example, or even a Toyota dealer. You got an XLE sunroof. It's got all the options, the color interior, exterior, has the nicer wheels, has the better options versus a base LE, no real options. So you've got to make sure that you're putting in the correct options. And I always compare, let's compare apples to apples. If you've got one at a competing dealer, pull it up on their website, pull up yours, and make sure that the options are right and you're comparing the correct models. Customers don't just buy price, they buy the presentation, trust, and transparency. Your job as a used car manager isn't to match everyone else's pricing. It's to understand where your unit deserves to live in the market. Is yours certified? Does the have the right options? The customers don't just buy price, they buy the presentation, trust, and transparency. Your job as a used car manager isn't to match everyone else's pricing. It's to understand where your unit deserves to live in the market. And just to expand a little bit more on that, you have to understand that when you're pricing your cars, maybe your unique value in the marketplace is the actual miles on the vehicle. And you have all the really nice options and you're one of one with anything under 30,000 miles. And now you're getting lumped into all of those vehicles. You've got the unicorn. Make sure you've got it standing tall on your website, in your descriptions. Make sure the price is priced properly, and you're not comparing yourself with one with 60,000 miles or 30,000 miles. You can actually set those parameters in vAuto, and I even believe they have that option in BenQ. So make sure that you're pricing accordingly, because you don't want to just give it away, especially when it's a unicorn and those are the only, you want to make the most money on those instead of cheap selling it. The pricing triangle. Let's go to the next one. Strong pricing balances market position, cost to market percent, inventory age. If one is ignored, the deal falls apart. Every great pricing decision balances three forces: where your car ranks against comparable listings, the top 5 within 25 miles, your price divided by average market price times 100. So your price to market or cost to market, 97% to 99%, depending on where you're at. Inventory age, so days since frontline. So how was it, 15 days, 30 days? You have to review all that stuff. So if you ignore one of these three, your pricing gets emotional fast. The best stores make small, deliberate adjustments, 1 to 2% at a time, and let the market catch up. Price to stay visible, not desperate. And you'll see the dealers that they're saying, oh, you know what, I'm pricing them right out the gate at 95% to market, and I'm turning them fast. I have a low market day supply. I'm turning my inventory, X amount of times. When reality is, if they adjusted the first 15 days, they may pick up an extra couple $100 a car. And when you start doing the math and you annualize it, you'd be surprised how much money you could be leaving on the table. So let's go to the next one. How to set initial price. The formula: cost to market percent, target 97 to 99%, add target gross, confirm top 5 ranking within 25 miles, and start with intention, not fear. So when I mean start with intention, not fear, what I'm talking about is making sure that you have confidence in the product that you're selling. So make sure that you're not, one, don't be naive and just price them, 120% to market out the gate. Now, some cars, I'd argue you might have to go that high, depending on how rare it is, what it looks like, how your competitive set looks like. But you can't do all of them like that. I think that a good balanced initial price in the first 7 days, you want to try to get as much as you can. And I wouldn't be afraid to price them 105 or 110% price to market or cost to market, and try to get within that first 7 days, see if you can pick up some margin. But if you want to have a balanced inventory, you want to start quick turning vehicles, making sure that you're buying them right. Pricing starts the day you buy the car, not when it hits the lot. Here's how to build your first price intelligently. Know your cost to market percent. Let's use your baseline store acquisition cost of 25 grand. And then your market average is 26,000. So if you find out what your cost to market is, that's basically 96% cost to market. That's including recon and everything. So if you can buy below market like that, then you can price them smart. And then you want to add a target gross of 3,500, depending if you have the margin to do it. And if you don't have the margin, you bought it too upside down, then you gotta, don't fall in love with these cars on a bad decision or a bad buy. If you're buying below market, it's perfect. Now you can price pretty smart and you can turn them quicker. Target gross, you got to make sure that whatever you have in your playbook, I know what my goal was. Obviously, that's your goal. You don't end there, but for the most part, you kind of sit in line when you kind of set the tone up front. Check the market rank. If that 28.5 keeps you in the top 5 listings within 25 miles, you're right where you need to be. If it drops you to a position 14, you're going to have to back it slightly, but never below the 98% average price to market in the first 15 days. You want to try to get some gross, but you've got to make sure that you're on top of your game. And if you're not pricing them, you're not getting them through recon fast enough, your pictures don't look good, it's not standing tall, then you're not getting gross at that point. The goal is to start strong, not to start cheap. That was rule number 3. So the next thing, the 15, 30, 45 day model. So you want to try to hold firm those first 15 days, 1 to 2% tweaks between 16 and 30, aggressive 3 to 5% adjustments on the 31 to 45 days, and after 45 you need to move it, or you're gonna just keep losing it. Remember, holding costs is huge here, because if you go past 45 days, just start mentally, or have a process in place where you know after 45 days how much you're losing. So if it's $46, if you're losing $46 a day, let's just do the math quick. 46 times 45, that's $2,000 you've already lost in holding costs. So if it goes another 45 days, that's another $2,000. So you're losing $4,000 if you're keeping them that long. So you want to make sure, like, you need to put a bullet in it. Get rid of it. Time to turn it into some money. But I would rather wholesale it to the public and potentially get some back end, get a trade, UA the trade, and that's how you make some money on those ones that you made some bad decisions. Because remember, a bad decision is still a bad decision. So make sure you move the vehicle. But make sure the first, if it's a economy, affordable type vehicle, move fast, stay visible, the 97 to 98%. Core retail, if it's 25 to 35 grand, then you hold value, minimal drops. And if it's premium luxury, don't be afraid to mark it up. I generally, if it's the unicorn cars, I'm trying to mark it up 110% in the first 15 days, and if not more, depending on how rare the car is. So ask for the money. I promise you will make the money. If you price all cars like high turn units, you're going to kill your gross. If you price all cars like high gross units, you'll kill your turn. So I've seen that too, where everything is, super high on price, and you end up killing your turn, and everything turns into old age cars. You have to balance them. So rule number 6, every car has a different job. Price it like it does. All right, here the power of price rank. Price rank is greater than price. Top 5 equals visibility, and beyond 10 is you're invisible. So small price moves can spike VDP and SRP views. So that's why I'm a big advocate of pricing every day. Make sure that you're doing it. So day supply, if it's the market day supply is under 60 or greater than 60, then you need to drop a price. If your VDP views or to SRP ratio is less than 1.5%, drop the price. So when you're looking at your pricing in Viato specifically, that's the one I'm more familiar with. You can go in there and see, look at the vehicle, also look at the VDPs and SRPs. If it's less than 1.5%, you need to drop the price. You're not getting any visibility. And the dealers that have access to in Viato, you'll be able to click the lead and it'll go into Vin Solutions and you'll read the lead, see exactly what happened, and find out why it's not moving. So those are some quick tips, but you got to make sure that you're actively looking at the market every day. Cost to market percent, if it's less than 96%, do what you can to hold the price. If it's within a certain threshold, like if it's under 30 days, do what you can. Outside of that, you know, if it's 45 days or greater, you may have to go below that line. Gross ROI per day, if it's greater than 120, hold the price. Aged, if it's an aged unit, 40 days, then any gross ROI, you just need to drop the price. Like, don't even think about if it's over 60 days old or over 40 days old. That's when you don't fall in love with these cars, unless it's one of those rare cars that has a like mind or market day supply. If it has a market day supply that you know it just maybe needs to take another couple more days, then keep it as long as you think. Keep it on the market as long as you can based on the market day supply. And if it goes past that, then it's just time to move it. So to figure out what your gross ROI is per day, so front gross divided by days in stock. So if you got a 30-day car and it's still online making $1,000 or $1,500, you divide that by 30, that's what your gross ROI is per day. So that's a good way to see how much money you're making per day on those vehicles, and more importantly, is it offsetting how much you're losing per day? So that's kind of why I like to look at that. So rule number 7, never let pride outrun math. The margin map, segment strategy, economy, fast turn, 97 to 98% cost to market, core retail, hold margin, 98 to 99% cost to market, and premium, sell the story, 100 to 102% cost to market. And reality is, if it's a premium vehicle and you've got a really good story, rarity, I'd be pricing it even higher. So that's not in the book. I should have gone a little bit deeper on the book there because I very much want to make money on the unicorns because they're so rare. No one's going to get it. It's not out there. You don't be afraid to ask for all the money on those. So when to drop versus when to hold, use the metrics, not emotion. You need to drop if there's a high market day supply and low VDPs. Hold if the cost to market is strong. If there's a strong ROI per day, you need to hold the price. Next one, appraisals. Appraisals drive pricing. Bad appraisals equals bad pricing, and appraise for the market, not your ego. Pricing starts the moment you acquire the car. So you need to look at those appraisals. Appraisals and pricing have to be connected. If you buy high and price high, you'll sit. If you buy high and price low, you're going to bleed. The only way both work is when acquisition, recon, and pricing align. Before you pencil a deal, ask, what's our target cost to market percent after recon? What's the real time to front line on this segment? Where will this car rank once it's live? When you start pricing the moment you buy, you'll make smarter appraisals, cleaner turns, and tighter gross. Appraise to sell, not to justify. And I get it. Sometimes you need to move an aged unit. You need to step on a deal. I get that. But for the rest of them, make sure you're on top of it, because that's quickly how you can lose money. Key pricing metrics: track cost to market percent, ROI per day, holding cost per day, and price rank position. Numbers tell the truth. You know, if your cost to market, you want to make sure, again, 97 to 99%. The gross ROI per day, you get your front gross divided by days in stock. Try to be at, you know, a little bit more than $100 per day if you can. That's the sweet spot. Holding cost per day, currently with floor plan interest the way it is, I don't know that you get around it, but you know, you're going to be between $40, $50 depending on what it looks like. And you just do year-to-date fixed average stock day and divided by days. And then price rank, market position versus radius. I like to do the top 5. No sense in being in the top 15, because you're going to be invisible. You have to be in the top 5. Turn rate, 60 days, units sold divided by average inventory. So this is super important. You need to make sure that depending on how you price your inventory, you know, I know some dealers are hard 30-day dealers, hard 45, you know, depending on the type of volume you're doing and the type of inventory. Premium dealers, you know, if you've got those higher ticket items that potentially can stay on your lot a little bit longer, we used to do a 60-day turn. So that's where we were at. But rule number 9, data doesn't lie, emotions do. So make sure you don't get emotional on these vehicles and you focus on the turn, the numbers, the data. It's all there. So now let's go through the checklist. Review price rank on top 20 units. Check cost to market every day. You need to know what your inventory is across the entire lot. Watch units nearing the 30 days for VDP engagements. Find out what happened. Make sure you do those lot walks. You have to look at that inventory that's getting old. You need to reprice your age units. Some dealers like to be 15, 30, 45-day schedule. I've been in I've shortened that window because I want to make sure that I'm on top of it. And depending on how large your inventory is, it's doable. When I had an inventory of 500 cars, I was pricing every day. It might take me an hour or two, but we were doing it every day. We were on top of it. Audit pricing discipline versus volume trend. Calculate, and this is every month. You need to audit pricing discipline versus volume trend. Calculate impact of aging inventory on gross. Adjust future buys based on segment ROI. And this one I didn't really get into that much, but what I mean by that, you can look at all of your segments. So if you've got a lot of, look at your ROI on the types of vehicles that you're buying. If you're looking at Rogues, for example, and your Rogues are averaging, you're averaging on your front end 1,500, 1,800, depending on how many you're selling every month. But then you're looking at, okay, so now my Maximas or my Altimas, I'm losing, or I'm making, $700. And so you may have to balance that inventory and make sure that you have more Rogues versus more Altimas. I still think you'd still need to have some Altimas, but you need to maybe not carry as many, or depending on what the market needs, don't go and flood the market, or too much inventory, your inventory will go stale. Then that's where you start losing money, big. So bottom line, price strategy is the bridge between buying and selling. It's where emotion meets math and where you find out who really knows their numbers. When your pricing is built on data, timing, and intent, you don't panic when competitors drop theirs. You already know where you stand, what's yours worth, and how fast you can move. Final rule, price like a pro, not a participant. Anyone can sell cars cheap, pros make money, and move them fast.